I see this all the time with woodworkers who think that just because you have the tools and the skills that you're destined to build incredible pieces, but so many people miss the most important thing that can make or break a project, and that's proportions. Yes, it's not the most exciting topic, but understanding this can turn a crap project into a good one and a good one into a great one, and it's really not that hard, to be honest. So in this video, I'm going to outline some of the tricks that I use in my work, plus I'll show you a project where I got all of this wrong. So first off, it's important to understand that proportions and size are different. Size is simply how big or small something is, independent of how it relates to other parts. And proportions is the relationship between the parts. So that can be the height to the width to the depth, the leg compared to its rails and other surroundings, the size of one section of a cabinet in relation to the rest of the cabinet. There are some rules or design laws when it comes to proportions, like the rule of thirds and the golden ratio. Personally, I don't have specific rules that I follow. I find that that kind of predictability makes my work look forced, and look, without coming across as a bit of a douchebag, I do think that there's an artistic element when it comes to furniture making, and messing around with proportions is a great way to get creative. Now, as I mentioned, size and proportions are two different things, but in order to work out the different proportions of your parts and how they relate to one another, you need to understand the size of the piece you're making. And we are kind of lucky as furniture makers because the furniture we make is generally based around how it relates to the human body. It needs to be comfortable, so a lot of furniture has the sizes already worked out for you, like dining tables and chairs. So there are some parameters and standardized sizing to help guide you. Like a table height is around 760 millimeters, and a rule of thumb when it comes to the length of a table is you want no less than 600 millimeters per person. Now, a kitchen benchtop height is around the 900 millimeters high, and a chair height is around 460 millimeters high. Obviously, bed frames are determined by the size of the mattress, but all those sizes that I gave you, they can be customized and they can be experimented with a little bit, but at least they're a great place to start if you sort of get stuck when you're designing something. Now, with furniture design, you're almost always going to have a constant or a specific requirement. It's going to have size limits, might have storage requirements, or have to house certain equipment or appliances. So it's best to start with these and then design outward. This will give you the bare bones in which to work with, but this is essentially defining what it is that you're making. So you want to start with all of that information first. Sometimes materials can guide you as well. Your design could end up coming down to the materials available or the available sizes. And let's face it, materials are bloody expensive these days. So the design could be determined by what materials you have on hand or what your client is willing to spend. A good example of both of these is actually the chessboard that I'm currently making, which you may have seen in the last video that I put up as I was making the substrate for this chessboard. Now, the playing surface itself is actually guided by standard sizes. This one here is a standard tournament size chessboard, but you can find different sizes online for different types of chessboards. Now, the base of this chessboard isn't governed by standard sizes, but it does serve a purpose, and that purpose is to house the chess pieces. There are a couple of drawers here that will allow me to put all the different chess pieces inside of it. But seeing that I've been using floorboards to make this chessboard, I have been governed by the size of my material. Realistically, I probably would have liked to have made this a little bit bigger, but because I was under size constraints from my materials, I tapered the sides and added a slight curve, which helps to pull your eye up to the playing surface. Now, this is just one visual trick that helps change proportions without having to change the size. I'll give more examples in a minute. Now, this chessboard will be the next video on my main YouTube channel, but I have been documenting the entire process over on my Patreon. So if you're interested in seeing more detail about this every week, I'll leave a link to the playlist below. Speaking of which, when it comes to proportions, I feel like Chris from Four Eyes Furniture summed it up perfectly in an interview I recently did with him.
Even if you can't control, like, the outside box dimensions, you can still play with proportions through like the visual weight of different elements or where dividing lines are. Don't feel like proportions only means the overall width, height, depth of a piece.
Now, that's just one of 10 interviews that I filmed with world-class designers over on Patreon. But as a thank you to all of you for supporting me here on this new channel, I'll put up Chris's one on the free side of Patreon for anyone that's interested in checking it out. Now you can actually use visual tricks to help change the look of a piece without changing any dimensions. Using tapered legs allows a piece to look lighter and more refined. Adding a chamfer can make something thick and heavy look thin and light. Roundovers help to remove hard edges, which in turn helps to reduce visual weight. Now, if a cabinet looks visually heavy, you can break it down into compartments to help make it look smaller. And you can make a cabinet look taller or wider simply by changing the direction of the grain. Having grain run vertically makes a cabinet look taller and slimmer. Having the grain run horizontally makes a cabinet look wider or more compressed. You can even use drawer boxes to help make a cabinet look longer or to help break up a large section and make it look smaller. Take this cabinet for example. The whole point of this cabinet was to be a long and low-lying cabinet, but the tambour door slats made it look taller than what it actually was. Thankfully, adding in the drawer boxes brought some length back to the piece, and then having the grain run in a horizontal direction allowed the cabinet to look even longer. You can probably see that by simply adding drawers to this larger section, you're not only breaking this large section into smaller components, but you're changing the overall look of the piece. A cabinet that looks top heavy can be slimmed down by simply making the legs taller, like this record cabinet that I made a few years ago. By making the legs longer, I've managed to compress the top section. Once again, the vertical slats and grain were making this cabinet look too tall and out of proportion, but raising the legs have brought everything together. Also, changing the thickness of your material can help make a piece look bigger than it actually is or smaller than it actually is. Now, the biggest piece of advice that I can give is to take your design and make iterations. Mess with the measurements a bit. Even if you think you've got them right from the very get-go, mix them up a little bit. The iterative process gives you a baseline to work off, and it means you have something to compare to. So you can take your new version and compare it to the old one to see if it's any better or if it's any worse. What I really find helpful to get an idea of proportions is to use CAD. So I use SketchUp, which isn't the most professional tool, but it is fast, which is why I like to use it. I start by essentially creating a large wall. This is the surface I'm going to use to just spew out ideas. Then I'm going to go to my camera tab up the top and click parallel projection. Then back to the camera tab, standard views, and click front. What this gives me is a 2D surface to work off. And I find that working in 2D really helps to, one, get ideas out, and two, understand how parts relate to one another. But sometimes ideas on a screen doesn't really translate into real life. So by using scrap plywood or MDF or even cardboard to create yourself some life-size templates will really help you to see how your proportions work in real life and how it translates in the world around you. Now, understandably, this is a lot to take in, but it is something that gets better with practice. And like me, you're going to make mistakes, like this hall table that I made a number of years ago. Personally, I do love this project, but if you can't tell from the photos, the top part where the drawers sit are way too big for the rest of the cabinet, and it looks completely top heavy. Now, granted, the size of those drawers were a specific requirement by the client, and I remember trying to make the legs as thick as possible given the material that I could get. But realistically, 4 legs was the wrong choice for this design. With a top section that's that thick, I should have gone with slab legs instead of the 4 legs. This is a design mistake on my part, but it's at least something that I can learn from and move forward. The client was still very happy with the piece, but the important thing about this is to learn from these kind of mistakes, to understand that good design isn't something that you nail first go. And realistically, if there are any pieces out there that you really like, chances are the designer took their time. It wasn't their first and only version of that design. A good example of this is a comedian takes time to develop their set, even though it looks like it's coming off the top of their head in the moment. This is something that they practice and work on. So think of furniture as multiple parts that come together to create a whole piece, and good proportion is making each of those parts look in harmony with one another. Basically, what I'm trying to say here is iteration is key. Don't just design something and run with it. Stop and think about how you can make it better. Now, I hope you found this video helpful. Please always remember that even though I'm a guy on the internet telling you about woodworking and furniture making, I'm still learning myself. And this is just the knowledge that I've picked up over the years. don't take it as gospel. I'm hoping that you could take one or two things away from it, but there's so many other amazing woodworkers and furniture makers out there that I'm sure that just by checking out their work on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, you can learn some great things as well. But if you like this video, then please remember to subscribe, share, like, all that kind of stuff. Your support here on this second channel really means a lot to me, and I'm looking forward to bringing you more videos.